everybody in client services, agency life. This should be fun. You know, number one is, what is your KPI? What's your key performance indicator? Like, what is the thing that you want us to accomplish? Is it views? Is it sales? Is it perception? Is it press? Is it your own judgment on how you feel about the creative? How are you judging us? What are the results? And they're really separate. How are you judging us? What are the results? Are number 1A and 1B that matters the most. And then really the third one would then be, what are you willing to tell me about your warts? Meaning, there's just a lot of people that are not gonna tell you about the politics that are an issue, the money that's an issue. I'm always trying to get them to be very truthful to us once I understand what the issues at hand are. So, what do you really want to accomplish? And by the way, people struggle with answering that. People struggle with answering that. Number two, how are you gonna judge me? Sometimes they struggle with that, less. Number three, what are the warts? Most people don't want to tell me up front. We try to sniff them out early so we can navigate them. And you know, it's a minefield to get to the finish line. Those are the three, and they're very important questions, and trying to figure out in every situation, in absolutely every situation, in dating, in building your own business, in having clients. I really think those three are super fun. And by the way, they're very important equally.
The first thing I want to go through with you right now is let's start the branding process, okay? And then I'll work with somebody to show you a demo of how it's done, okay? So, first thing is just very basic questions, right? And don't think too much on this, because so many times people get caught up in like, oh, wow, is it this or is it that? Just write. Just whatever comes up, write, and we'll figure it out later, okay? So, who are you targeting, first and foremost? If you're gonna work with an ideal customer, who is it? Okay, you can start number one with, is it a man, a woman? Now just because you put down a male doesn't mean you can't work with a woman. All right, we're just trying to target in on who would you like to work with the most right now. Second thing is, what's the age? You know, you can put between 35 and 55, but ideally it's better to just go, hey, this person's 45. Because most people that I've met have one age, not multiple. They're not like, I'm between 35 and 55, they're like, I'm 45. So just pick an age, 45. What's the income? Now remember, this is an ideal client. So, like, sometimes I'll ask people, well, what income would you like to work with? They're like, 100 grand a year. I'm like, is that your ideal client? Like the perfect client that you want to work with? That would be more like $500,000 or $1 million or $5 million a year. Great, so put that down. Okay? Third piece is, are they married, have kids? Great. So is everybody writing down answers to this right now? So somebody just shout it out real quick. What do you got? Age? 40, great, man, woman. Business owner, great. That was a good one too to put down, is what's their career? So what is their career? So are they like a software developer? Are they a CEO? Are they a service-based business? Are they, you know, is it, who is it? Is it a professional? Is it a stay-at-home mom or dad? What is it? So that's the first. The second thing would be, now that you have all of that, right? What is this person, what's the pain point that they're experiencing as it relates to your product? Like what are the couple pain points? So if you're in the health space and somebody's interested in you know, training for a marathon, and that you're marketing people want to be marathon runners, what are the three pain points that they're facing as a result or in relation to that? So if you don't have, some of your startups and you're not clear on what your product is yet, this gets you to think about the industry or the space that you're going into, and you're like, what are the pain points that they're facing? Now the second piece of this is, once you start getting into the pain points, somebody just shout out, what's a pain point? Somebody shout out in your space. Paying too much in taxes, great, what's the other? Romantic life change? Great. Dramatic life change, got it. Okay, what else? High utility bill, yeah. Inconsistent income, great. Doesn't feel safe, great. Burnout, awesome. So then as you get these things and you start to get the pain point as it relates to your product, how does that then impact other areas of their life? This is where most people miss it, right? So I'll tell you a quick story on this, all right? So I'm working, I told this at lunch. So I'm working with a client of mine, his name's David. I think Luke might be on the live stream. Hey Luke, Luke's his new business partner. I also played Little League Baseball with Luke when I was 11. What's up, Luke? He's on the live stream. So I started working with this brand like 6 or 7 years ago, and it was a brand that was doing chiropractic. And his name's David Miller. And so when I was working with him, he had a unique methodology to actually work with people on their body. And he had an office. And so in the office, I was like, well, what do you do? And he would tell me what he did. And when he explained it, it was like UFOs were flying over my head. The language was so out of my realm that I couldn't understand the expert terminology of what was being communicated. And so as I'm listening, I'm like, okay, got it, but like, as an expert or somebody who's teaching this or who does that, that's not the language your customer speaks. So he had an office in New York City, and he was charging whatever at the time, maybe making a couple $100,000 a year. And I said, you know, if you do that work on somebody like me, the experience that I have as a speaker or a CEO is much different than the work you do on somebody who has really bad health problems. So do you want to get people out of pain, or do you want to optimize people's life who are already doing well, who want to go to the next level? I think, well, who would you want to work with? Well, I think I want to work with people who want to go to the next level. Great. Who would that be? Men. Great. How old would they be? 45 years old. Fantastic. So what's the experience that a man gets in doing work with you? And he's like, well, I work on their body. And I said, yeah, but what's the outcome? Well, when they get off, they feel more passionate. They feel more lit up. They feel like more on purpose in their life. They feel like they're expressing themselves more. I'm like, great, your brand is going to be called Man on Fire. So right there, it took 2 minutes, we rebranded the thing.
All right, quick pause. So if you're liking this and you want help applying it to your business, just click the link down below and you can book a free strategy call with one of my consultants. And these exact systems I'm sharing with you today, we've helped thousands apply them to their business. Let's get back to it.
And so the second thing is, I said the market you're going after right now, you think that the industry determines what the pricing is. And the industry doesn't determine what the pricing is. The industry only determines that if you stay within the boundaries of the industry. I said, you need to reinvent and go outside the boundaries of the industry. And I said, so what would be the ultimate experience? He's like, well, you do seminars, because he met me at a seminar. And I said, yeah. He's like, I want to do workshops and things like that. I'm like, great, so let's do that. What are the things that would happen there? What types of experiences would they have? What would the outcomes be? How would that affect their personal life? How would that affect their professional life? He's like, how would that affect their finances? Like, finances? I'm like, yeah, if my body feels better and I have more energy, I'm going to make more money. So why is your space not talking about how it impacts people's finances? Doesn't make any sense. You're talking about one thing, the body in isolation. If you talk about the body, which the person runs, the spiritual being runs, what are the effects and outcomes that that person's going to get by having a better body? It's like having a better car to drive. I'm going to get to work faster, I'm going to have more fun, I'm going to listen to better tunes in the car, I'm going to be speeding, it's going to be a good time, right? I might have some espresso in the car, it'll be amazing, right? So the outcomes are entirely different when you start relating it to the person's life. And so when you start relating to the person's life and you realize they are coming for things besides the body, they're coming for how the body can get better to do things. All of a sudden, somebody who can't walk on their knee, and all of a sudden they get better, and they were a tennis player and they love to play tennis, and all of a sudden they can run around now, they're now at the club playing tennis. And then maybe their business was finance, and being in the financial business revolved around playing golf and tennis, and being on the golf course and tennis at the same time, and doing those things to pick up deals. And now they're back on the court, they're getting exercise, they're more in shape, they're picking up deals, they're playing golf, they're doing their hobbies, and they still come home for dinner, they have time with their wife and their family and the kids, and they go on vacation because they're making more money. That's a totally different brand that I get you out of pain. Yeah? Completely different. So I said, sell that. Stop selling the same thing everybody else is selling. You're charging $120 an hour now? Great, I just decided your new price, it's $2,500 for your next seminar. There you go, start. How am I going to sell it? You're going to get sales training from me. I'll teach you how to sell. I'll teach you how to pitch. That's what I'll do. Blah, 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 right? Needless to say, we went out his first seminar. It was 90 to 120 days later. Key to seminars. Anybody here do seminars? Show of hands. The number one secret to seminars is set the date. He's like, well, I want to do seminars. I go, great, take out your calendar. He's like, for what? I'm like, the seminar. He's like, pull out your calendar. Pull up the phone, right? All right, the date's going to be this date, 110 days from now. Boom, go. You put in the calendar, you start. It's real, right? Okay, call a friend. Why am I calling a friend? Call a friend, tell him you're doing a seminar. He's like, why? I was like, you're going to give a free ticket to your friend. He's like, why? I'm like, because if you don't have people show up, you're going to look like an idiot. So you're going to get your friend there, and then you're going to have to put on the seminar. Call your friend right now. Call a friend, okay, get your friend to come, right? So all of these starts the reinvention of the brand, right? Putting the future there, putting the new outcomes there, putting all the ways this thing affects every area of the life, hence Man on Fire, hence going from an office that was $200,000 to, he recently called me and said, hey, we were at our peak, we were at $4 million a year.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
Going from a business that was not even online to a business that went predominantly online but ran workshops to deliver the experience. Make sense? It's reinvention. So however you're thinking about your brand now, how can you be thinking about the thing that you're doing and how it impacts different areas of the individual's life? What does that look like? And then as you look at those areas, then you go, wow, okay, now that outcome is worth that. That outcome is worth that. How many of you start thinking of pricing and you're like, wow, I gotta price myself within the prices of the industry? How many of you are in an industry that has competitive pricing? Anybody? Show of hands. Yeah, you just need to make your offers that much better, and then you can charge what you want. It doesn't have to do with what your industry is charging. That's called being in a box. That's called being in an industry that confines you, and that's called being in an industry where most of them are broken. Financial industry, broken. Health industry, pretty much broken down. You want to start with the other industries? We'll list them one by one. Why do you want to be a part of that? Why? It's not winning. It's not. So the way you stay part of it, because you have to stay connected to the source of the thing, but you have one foot in, you have one foot out, and you go, how do I reinvent this thing that I'm doing so that I can have multiple outcomes and position myself differently in a marketplace that sells pain? Or differently in a marketplace that sells, hey, we're going to get you 10% rates of return over the next 30 or 40 years of your life, which is the financial industry. Those of you who are in that space, you're doing it differently, which is why you're here, so you have a different offer. Most of that space does not. So then you really start to think about, okay, what are the pain points my products are solving, but if I solve those things, how does their life get better? And that's where you start to come up with an offer that people will pay more for, and they'll get more from it. Does that make sense? Because if I start thinking about the outcomes that I'm getting from my customer, what happens? I have to start creating a product that produces that. And so innovation comes from going, wow, what does the customer want? Listening to what the customer wants, and then starting to innovate and provide that thing, and all of a sudden the product gets better, yeah? Does this make sense? So now, write down on your sheet of paper, or just right now, don't even think much about it, just write it down and just go, great. So if my product or my offer solves these pain points, then if I were to, what else does my product do in the areas of their life? So if I solve these pain points, how will that impact their personal life? How will that impact their health? How will that impact their finances? How will that impact their family life? So everybody write that down right now. Somebody's got one, shout it out. Who's got it? Tell me. What's that?
Freedom.
Great, what else?
Increasing
Increasing income, awesome. Feel powerful, amazing. What else? Time, great. And what would they do with more time? Travel, family, great. If you spend more time with family and travel, what would happen? They'll be happier too, yeah, there you go. What else? Yeah? I heard something. What's that? Fulfillment, yeah. What's that? Self-worth, beautiful. What else?
Pride.
What's that? Pride, amazing, right? They'll be more attractive to their spouse. Buy real estate. There you go. They'll be more attractive and they'll own real estate. See? You just merge brands. More boyfriends, he says. They'll be more attractive, they'll have more boyfriends, and then they'll own more real estate. See how the product's getting better here? What's that?
House for every one of them.
A house for every one of them. Okay, now we're getting off the chain here. Here we go. Okay. So you have all these different things, right? And you start thinking about, great, so okay, this is cool, right? Now if you start to put up words like, okay, they're gonna be more comfortable, they're gonna be happier, great. If they're gonna be more happier in what area? What does that give them an opportunity to do? They're gonna be more happier with their kids, so then their kids are gonna grow up and have a better role model, right? They'll make more money, more income, so they'll spend time with the kids and be able to teach them entrepreneurial skills and things that are valuable. Like, where are the guys that I met at 21 that dropped out of college? Where are you guys at? Not here. They dropped out of the room too. You guys here? Anyway, they're here this morning. They're just saying we're in college. They dropped out. They're starting up a software business, right? So I don't know if their parents taught them skills in entrepreneurship, but I mean, how cool would that be? You have time with the kids, teach them skills, bring them to workshops like this. So there's so many other things as you're starting to go, who's my ideal client, and how are those things going to impact them, and where that communication comes in. Sometimes the right word, as Andrea was talking about this morning when he was talking about insurance agents, like that word trust was the thing that was motivating the want. Words like that will go in the ads that will make all the difference. But as you get somebody deeper down through the actual experience, and you get them to watching the video, can you pull up the video on one of the funnels, the incubator funnel? As they get more through the experience and they come in and they start watching your videos, you start to use those words of like whether it's happiness or whether it's power or whether it's, being more attractive in the relationships or whatever it is. So those words then start getting communicated because now you're like, okay, this is what the customer wants. They don't just want this, they want this outcome, this outcome, this outcome. Make sense? So you start adding those things on, and mostly, which is fascinating, I was sitting on the side with Allie and I was talking to her and I was like, oh wow, it's so interesting how the simplicity of the truth of what somebody wants is just simple. Right? With the insurance thing, it was trust. And that one word, or those couple words in your advertising could change your entire conversion of people who are interested. Does this make sense? So it's powerful to explore this to find out. So on the video, if you just click that one.
It's a revolution in client engagement. Clients like Grant Cardone and 10X are already using our AI sales technology, which I'm unveiling in this dynamic, fast-paced demonstration right now. So if you're a coach, consultant, course services,
right? So then it goes to your coach, consultant, services, whatever. So it's calling people out, right? Your coach, consultant, services, expert, entrepreneur, blah, blah, blah. It's calling out different industries in there too. So as you're writing down, some of you are like, but I want to do this industry too. It's okay. Like, you figure out the message for the one person you're targeting. And then you might go, you know what, this message completely applies not to just a service business, but it applies to somebody who wants to be a consultant. And then you all of a sudden have two audiences. Does this make sense? Right? And it's good in your marketing to call out and say, hey, if you're an entrepreneur, let's say you're teaching finances, you're like an entrepreneur, and you're making 7 figures and you're looking for like new tax strategies. Well, what did I just do? I spoke to an entrepreneur making 7 figures, so they're listening, oh, that's me. Does that make sense? So the most basic things that sometimes we forget, which is why I also acknowledge people in the room, it's like, hey, if you're a startup business, it's cool, you're in the right place, right? Because that's just basic communication and marketing, which I forgot to do this morning. But I do it in my videos and I do it all the time because you want to make sure that when you're attracting a certain person who's going to use your product, it doesn't mean you can't bring in the entrepreneur and the CEO at the same time. It means the message needs to speak to them. And if it speaks to them, you can market to both of them. Does this make sense?
So if you're serious about scaling your business online and you want help with my one-to-many selling method to sell on podcasts or webinars or virtual stages or in person, then click the link down below and book a free strategy call. My coaches will help you implement it. We've worked with over 30,000 businesses on these very same strategies. Click it down below and go book. See you soon.